Good morning. Daniela Santopolo from the European Commission. I have the pleasure to be here today to present a project which is of interest for the up and reskilling of the workforce in Europe in the net zero industry sector. The Net Zero Industry Academies develop European learning content for a European workforce. In my presentation, I will explain the concept and functionalities of these academies. So first of all, we know that European businesses struggle with finding the right people and the right skills. They are a top concern for them, and they are crucial for the growth and sustainable development of any business. We have data that tell us that 4 in 5 SMEs say that it's difficult for them to find workers with the right skills, and 74% of SMEs in Europe say that they face skills shortages for at least one job role in their company. What is the answer of the European Union? The Net Zero Industry Academies. They are the response to tackle these skills gaps, especially in key net zero technology sectors. If we zoom into the net zero technology sectors, we know that there's some important skills shortages. I can give you just some examples. We are lacking 180,000 skilled workers that will be needed in the fuel cell hydrogen manufacturing area, 66,000 in the photovoltaic solar, and 800,000 in the battery production. These are just some examples. Then there's other net zero technology sectors which face skills shortages of comparable order of magnitude. The EU regulation Net Zero Industry Act that was just adopted sets measures to strengthen Europe's manufacturing capacity of net zero technology products. The regulation addresses many areas: CO2 injection capacity, access to markets, innovation, etc. But today I will speak about the chapter in this regulation that addresses enhancing skills for quality job creation. So really making sure that we have the available workforce that is needed to scale up the manufacturing of these technologies in Europe. The Act addresses 3 main areas related to skills. First of all, the European Commission commits to support the launch of net zero industry academies in some key sectors, including via providing seed funding. What does it mean? That it provides initial funding for the setup and launch of these academies. As organizations or consortia or projects of relevant stakeholders. Second, it addresses regulated professions in the sense that academies will develop learning credentials that can be approved by the member states as qualification required to access a regulated professional activity. We know that in the net zero industry sector, not all professions are regulated, but we have more and more of these professions which are regulated, and also we already have a good portion of them. So we want to make sure that the credentials issued by the Academy allow the learner to access a regulated profession as much as possible. And the Net Zero Industry Platform on Skills, it's a governance monitoring platform that puts together member states and the European Commission to monitor the work of the academies and perform skills intelligence. So check which skills are needed in the different net zero technology sectors. How do these academies work in concrete terms? First of all, as I've already said, they are not brick-and-mortar educational institutions, but they are more projects or consortia or relevant stakeholders. They have three main functionalities. One, they develop together with the industry, in co-creation with the industry, for the voluntary use by member states and their education and training providers, learning programs and learning content, and training materials for training and education in the net zero technologies. Second, they offer this learning content to education and training providers in the member states to support their provision of education and training in this area. It's not an obligation for the education and training providers to use this content, but this is offered so to really supplement their existing offer of education and training. Third, they develop learning credentials, as I was mentioning, to facilitate the transparency of skills and especially the mobility of the learners within sectors and within the European Union job market. We already have an example of such academies. It's the existing European Batteries Academy that was already operating and was launched in 2022. Now, the Net Zero Industry Act, so the regulation I mentioned at the beginning, foresees the launch of academies already in some net zero sectors, but there may be other sectors in the future. Solar sector, hydrogen, raw materials, and wind. Again, the functionalities are, as I explained earlier, developing learning programs, enabling the use of these learning programs by education and training providers in the member states, so the learning content is offered to these education and training providers that teach it on the European territory, and develop credentials to certify these trainings. Now, if you remember the skills gaps that I have outlined at the beginning, we are speaking of per academy, a target of 100,000 learners within 3 years from establishment. This means that we try to tackle as much as possible the order of magnitude of the existing skills gaps. This really tries to answer this need. As I was explaining, the academies may take different forms, so, but again, they're not an educational institution set up in one member state. It's not a building, it's more of a project. Why? Because the learning content that they centrally develop will be rolled out by the existing education and training providers in the member states to reach out as much as possible to the national, regional, and local level. So you can use your existing training provider, they will just use the learning content developed by the academies. You're not supposed to go to a building or an institution that is somewhere in a member state. This content is rolled out on the whole European territory. So the Commission will offer seed funding, as I was mentioning, from existing EU funds managed by the Commission. So we will really support the launch of these academies, as it already happened for the existing European Batteries Academy. The member states then may choose to use on these territories their content that is created by the academies. And in order to do this, it's possible for the member states and regions to use EU funds available at national, regional, and local level. We are speaking of the structural funds, which can be used to actually take in this content on the European territory. What is there for the European businesses and how can you participate in this project? Well, the academies are designed to produce a content that is, first of all, off the shelf. So it's available for you to use directly. It's there. You don't have to do much. I mean, it's really easily accessible. It's pertinent because it's co-designed with the industry. So it by default responds to the industry needs. Actual, because it's constantly updated, we require the Academy to constantly update their content, because we know that in these net zero technology sectors, I mentioned the raw materials, I mentioned the solar, I mentioned hydrogen, the technology is advancing fast. So we want this content to be continuously updated. It's available locally, so your usual education and training provider can access it. You don't have to go anywhere to access this content. You can go to your usual training provider and he will be able to use the content. Adaptable, because your company can discuss with the Academy a tailored approach. So depending on the needs you have, the content will be tailored, and it covers a wide range of skills. And modular as well. So your workforce can build skills at the speed that is actually responding to your wishes and needs. I will go now to the state of play. So, as I mentioned, in this initiative, the European Commission takes inspiration from an existing model that is the European Battery Academy, launched in 2022. Its courses are already available, its learning material is already available, and it's training the workforce in the batteries value chain with very successful numbers. We are very close to reaching the target of 100,000 learners. So it's really helping the batteries value chain to upscale its manufacturing capacity. And we want to replicate this model in these other technologies: solar, wind, hydrogen, raw materials, and possibly also other net zero technology sectors in the future. The European Solar Academy was announced in December 2023, and its official launch, so really start of the work, will be in June this year. Courses will be available around the end of the year already. The European Hydrogen Academy was launched in January 2024. Its courses are also available, will also be available around the end of this year. And then we have upcoming the European Raw Materials Academy and the European Wind Academy. So I would like to stress the fact that what is the interest here for European businesses? They can access education and training content that is already available very directly. They can have it tailored to their needs. They can access it via their usual education and training provider. They don't have to go somewhere to access it, and they have access to a learning content which is constantly updated with the latest developments in the technology area. So with this, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Hello, you can hear me? Thank you for your presentation, it's quite interesting. Just one question, you said that it's co-created, the material and the content with the industry. That means that the businesses have a say as it is tailored to their needs. Can you describe a bit more how this process is taking place? I mean, how do they participate in co-shaping the content so that it addresses their needs? Thank you.
Indeed, thank you for your question. It's very pertinent, and it's actually very much of interest here, because it gives the opportunity to the businesses themselves to participate in the co-creation. So the idea is that these academies work not on their own in a silos, but having access to a network of participants that in a way express what are the skills needs and what are the tailored needs of the industry in a specific sector. So there is a constant constant dialogue with the academy, where they basically, the industry and the businesses explain what they want this content to be like, and what is already available as well, because some trainings are already there, and it's good for the academies to have this information and to take it into account in the shaping of the centrally developed learning content. So it's a more in the form, as I was explaining, of a network of actors that work together in order to produce a content that is EU valid, so that boosts the manufacturing capacity in the European Union for these key technologies, responding to the main objective of the Regulation Net Zero Industry Act. I hope I answered your question.
Hello, thank you for that. I'm just wondering, how will the content or the operation be regulated on these academies? Because there's so many online courses and things that's online, but how can we ensure the contents are updated to each specific trade's needs and standardized across, for example, if we're having set standard in Europe, how do we ensure that is all set across, and is that going to be updated at a regular interval or reviewed by a particular body?
Yeah, thank you very much. The mechanism is basically responding exactly to this concern of constantly updating the content. So the quality is a key concern here. So basically, the Academy centrally checks the actual nature of the content, so it's constant update, and it's one of its main tasks, so that the education and training provider on the territory is sure to have access to a content that is constantly responding to the latest needs of the technology sector. We also envisage that each training delivered by the Academy has attached a learning credential. This means that the learner will have the possibility to have his qualification recognized. Now, it's not an obligation to recognize the credentials for the member states, because there is a matter of competence of the member state in the European Union. But on the other hand, the process, especially for the regulated professions, should be that the member state tries to assess whether the learning content given by the Academy is equivalent to the training, the qualification required in the member state, and in that case, then the recognition should be automatic. So, of course, we cannot impose an obligation, but we can develop the credential for the member state to easily recognize. And because the content is co-designed with the industry, so answering the needs of the market, this should be quite a smooth process. I hope I answered your question. Thank you very much. Okay, if there is no further question, look at Veronica. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.